Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Yasodanandana Prachitanaranjana Yasodanandana Prachitanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Garang. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vachami Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Pastichadi Shatani. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's a question. Ekadashi is tomorrow, is that correct? Jainitai, what do we do? Ekadashi is today in New York. Okay?
Sorry,
according to my calendar, today is Ekadashi in New York.
In New York?
Correct.
Okay.
And tomorrow is Ekadashi here.
Okay.
I'm flying to New York now, today.
Yeah.
So that means we don't observe Ekadashi here. And when I get to New York, it's not Ekadashi there. Because they have it today. So what are we supposed to do? What's the rule when you travel?
The rule?
You follow it in the night, or what do you do?
Whatever's... So he has the answer.
Who's got the rule? Is there a Vedic rule for this type of a thing? Because in Vedic times, unless the yogis traveled by mystic power through the airways, I guess people didn't cross over the zones between one, titi and another. So the Ekadashi is different by the time they reach their next destination. But what should I do? Today Ekadashi or tomorrow Ekadashi? Or both? Or neither? Anyway, it's one of those interesting phenomena. Kailash, you have the answer to this dilemma?
No, I'm not serious, Maharaj.
It's something we should resolve. ISKCON deity ministry or somebody should resolve it. We know what to do, huh? Do we? No, then that's not Ekadashi here, is it? So you can't. I do us do it tomorrow. I think so. Because you can't. It's not Ekadashi here, and we're here, right? And if you break Ekadashi, when do you observe Ekadashi?
The next day.
The next day. Is that right? So maybe in that way we can say tomorrow's the right day to do it. Is that okay? Permission? Maybe both days, let's see. And the idea of having Nirjal, was it Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi? It was a nice idea, but it was never there during Prabhupada's time. Prabhupada never mentioned it. Maybe there's one brief mention somewhere about it, existence, but never made it a rule, a sort of a system that, you do follow that if you broke Ekadashi during the year. No, I never heard of it. It was always the day after. If you break Ekadashi, you must follow Ekadashi the next day. If you want to do Pandavinodjala Ekadashi, that's your own thing. That's up to you. But it's not, that's not like, big thing all over the movement or something. It's not necessary. If you want to do it, all glories, do it. Keep it secret. Next one, verse today is which number?
It's 30 to 32.
30 to 30. 30 to 32, the gopis meet. Krishna, the gopis meet. 30 to 32, great. Is it written? How is it written on the board? It's a long verse. Is it readable? Is it versible? I guess so. All right, let's see how it goes. What's the meter then? Is that it? Prestam prayetaram. Pardon? Oh, it's 32 on the board, is it? Okay, well, it's probably the same meter. Yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Huh? Oh no, I'm just practicing at the moment. You've got to get it right. Please repeat. Yat pati apatya suridam anuvrittir anga strinam swadharma eti dharmavida trayoktam astva evam etad upadesha pade trayishe preshto bhavangs tanabitang kila bandhur atma. Line by line. Yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga strinam swadharma eti dharma vidatrayoktam astvyenam etad upadesha pade trayishe preshto bhavangs tanubitang kila bandhuratma yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga strinang swadharma iti dharma vidatrayoktam astvyenam etad upadesha pade trayishe preshto bhavangs tanubitang kila bandhuratma yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga strinang swadharma iti dharma vidatrayoktam astvenam etad upadesha pade trayishe preshto bhavangs tanubitang kila bandhuratma yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga
Swadharma iti dharma vidatva yuktam.
Strinam swadharma iti dharma vidatva yuktam.
Astveva meta rupadesha padetva yishe.
Astveva meta rupadesha padetva yishe.
Preshto bhamam stanugritam kila bandhuratma.
Preshto bhamam stanugritam kila bandhuratma.
Yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga.
Strinam swadharma iti dharma vidatva yuktam. Strinam swadharma iti dharma vidatva yuktam. Astvevam etat upadesha padetva yishe. Astvevam etat upadesha padetva yishe. Preshto bhavam stanugritam kila bandhur atma. Preshto bhavam stanugritam kila bandhur atma. Yatpati apatya shuridam anuvritta anga.
Yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga.
Strinam swadharma iti dharma vidatva yuktam.
Astvenam etad upadesha padetva yishe. Preshto bhavam stanubhitam kila bandhur. Ladies. Yat patya patya suridam anuvrittiranga. Strinam swadharma vidatva yuktam. Astvenam etad upadesha padetva yishe. Preshto bhavam stanubhitam kila bandhuratma. Any other ladies? Okay. Could someone bring a nectar of devotion, please? The one here? Yat. Wait. Yat? Yat? Which? Pati. Of husbands. Apatya. Children. Suridam. And well-wishing relatives and friends. Anuvrittihi. The following. Anga. Our dear Krishna. Strinam. Of women. Swadharmaha. The proper religious duty. Iti. Thus. Dharmavida. By the knower of religion. Tvaya. You. Uktam. Spoken. Astu. Let it be. Evam. Like that. Etat. This. Upadesha. Of this instruction. Pade. To the real object. Tvaye. You. Ishe. O Lord. Preshtaha. The dearmost. Bhavan. You. Tanubhitam. For all embodied living beings. Kila. Certainly. Bandhu. The close relative. Atma. The very self. Translation. Well, we go back actually because, what is it, text 30 we begin with? Text 30. We go back to text 30 and read through to this verse. And there's a nice purport to this verse.
Prestam priyetaram iva patibasamanam Shrish Krishnam tadarta vinivartita sarvakama Netre vimritya rudito pahate smakinchit Sangram bhagad gadagiro bhavatana raktaha. Although Krishna was their beloved, and although they had abandoned all other objects of desire for his sake, he had been speaking to them very unfavorably. Nonetheless, they remained unflinching in their attachment to him. Stopping their crying, they wiped their eyes and began to speak, their voices stammering with agitation. There's a short purport here by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Hridayananda Maharaj and others. The gopis now replied to Sri Krishna, their voices choking up with anger, caused by their intense love for him and their unwillingness to give him up. They would not allow him to reject them. Shri Gopyocho Maivang Viborhiti Bhavan Gaditang Nishang Shang Santyajya Sarva Vishayang Stavapadamulam Bhakta Vajasva Duravagraha Matya Jasman Devo Yatari Purusho Bhajate Mumukshun. The beautiful gopis said, O all-powerful one, you should not speak in this cruel way. Do not reject us, who have renounced all material enjoyment to render devotional service to your lotus feet. Reciprocate with us, O stubborn one. They're addressing Krishna here as stubborn one. Dura Vagraha. That's a nice name for somebody, if a devotee is a bit stubborn in devotional service. Your name is Dura Vagraha Das. It's the name of Krishna. It's one of Krishna's names, Dura Vagraha, the stubborn one. Oh, stubborn one, just as the primeval Lord Sri Narayan reciprocates with his devotees in their endeavors for liberation. Do not give us up. Lord Narayan never gives up his devotees. Why are you telling us to go away? Krishna's just been speaking to the gopis, is that right? Tell them to go away. On your bike, get lost. This is not the right place for you guys, you girls. Go back home. What are you doing here in the dead of night? You should know better. What if you have husbands? What will they think? What is this? Can you imagine? One sense, you hear, here's Krishna, you can't blame him. In one sense, he's telling, he's giving them good instructions, but they don't listen. They're determined. Just like sometimes the parents of devotees, right? They give all good instructions to give up this ridiculous Krishna consciousness, isn't it? They try their very best, some of them, or people in general. Why are you wasting your time? Sometimes our mind also is very expert at that. The mind also sometimes gives this type of, very stubborn, don't surrender to Krishna. Don't do this. This is not for you. So many different, let's say, tests are there. So Krishna is testing the gopis. He's giving them a test. Testing their determination. Our determination is tested. Our faith is tested. Our devotion is tested. And that test is there. Maya's business is to test the devotee. Prabhupada writes that, teaching the Queen Kunti, that Maya's business is to test the devotees. The devotee thinks, oh, this is not Maya. But actually one can see it as this is Maya's service to try to help us to surrender. She's putting temptations there, you could say, in one sense. No more than what would already be there, less in fact. We've embraced Maya, it's not that Maya's embraced us. She doesn't want us to be here in this world. We want to be in this world. And it's her duty to, say, provide the kind of the dramatic scenes for us to try to, play our parts in this world. She provides all the costumes and all the scripts and everything, and, we jump on the stage and play our parts. And when the script changes, we moan and groan. And when she gives a little test telling you, shouldn't really be on this stage, we get angry or something. But she's trying to actually release us from the stage by giving us some kinds of tests sometimes to increase or strengthen. And Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said Lord Gaurasundara puts his devotees into various tests and tribulations to test and strengthen their patience and desire or qualities in devotional service. That's to help strengthen us. Without tests, we cannot become strong. And even in ordinary education, there are tests there to prepare us. We don't like tests. We've all probably been to school, I'd imagine. And generally we don't like tests. At least I didn't like tests. I still don't like tests. But they're inevitable. And it's there to help us to advance, help to strengthen us or prepare us for the final test at the time of death. So the gopis they're passing the test very, very easily. There's another angle to this which we'll mention, many angles. And now we go on to today's verse. Our dear Krishna, as an expert in religion, you have advised us that the proper religious duty for women is to faithfully serve their husbands, children, and other relatives. This is correct. This is the religious duty, and this is how a woman, in Vedic culture, understood, and still today, many ladies understand that this is their dharma, this is their religious practice. This is how they attain the mercy of Krishna. Of course, the husband has also a part to play, a very significant part to play. They both have their dharmas, and if one doesn't perform their dharma, it becomes very difficult. But in principle, as here the gopis are speaking, it's stated that they themselves are stating this is our religious principle. You have said, not that this is that, but this is what you've said, that you have advised us that the proper religious duty of women is to faithfully serve their husbands, children, and other relatives. That's correct. That way they attain the mercy of the goddess of fortune. We agree that this principle is valid, but actually this service should be rendered to you. After all, O Lord, you are the dearmost friend of all embodied souls. You are their most intimate relative, and indeed their very self. So, of course, this is the transcendental situation. Totally transcendental. We cannot imitate this. But this is the goal. Complete surrender. Sarva dharmam pratyagya mamikam sharanam braja. This is the mood of the gopis. Completely, totally, heart, life and soul surrender to Krishna. And when it's on that platform, in the purport it states here that Sri Krishna is the soul of all souls, their dearmost friend and well-wisher, as stated in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11.5.41, altogether. No? Oh yeah, Carlos, you've got it on your magic box. Don't cheat. Don't cheat there. It's a famous verse, but you may not know the reference. Devarshi bhutap narinam patinam nakinkaro nayanvini charajan savatmanayak sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam paririthyakartam. Very beautiful verse. O King, one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away. Since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons separately. Authority descends from the author of all existence, the Supreme Lord. Natural figures of authority such as husbands, mothers, government leaders and sages gain their power and authority from the Supreme Lord and should thus represent the absolute truth to those who follow them. If one wholeheartedly engages in loving service to the original, supreme truth, one need not indirectly serve the absolute truth through the above-mentioned secondary authorities. So the word is mentioned, wholeheartedly engages in loving service to the original. But when we're not wholeheartedly engaged, then of course the considerations may be slightly different. Even a soul surrendered to God, however, continues to serve the spiritual master, who is a direct, not indirect, representative of the Lord. So that's a very, you can say, important premise in devotional service, is that first and foremost, actually, we serve the devotees. Serving Krishna is, you could say, our generalization, our goal, but that means, serving Krishna means serving the devotees. That's what it means. It's not like, I don't need to serve the devotees, I just serve Krishna. That does not work. Simple as that. Krishna does not accept such a mentality. It's not the activity that he accepts, but the attitude which we have. And that mood of service to the devotees is what pleases Krishna. He's very attracted by that. Of course, if you have the opportunity to directly serve him, very nice. But if it's with the mood of, I don't need to serve the devotees, or even where I don't want to serve the devotees or something, then that service is not pleasing to Krishna. A bona fide acharya or spiritual master is the transparent media leading the disciple to the lotus feet of Krishna. All indirect authorities become obsolete when one is directly in touch with the absolute truth. The gopis wanted to explain this basic point to Krishna, and some of the bolder young girls among them attempted to defeat Sri Krishna with his own statements, as exemplified in this verse. This is amazing. The principle, I think, is quite easy to understand. We can discuss it more if time allows. But if we completely surrender to the author of all authorities, so to speak, the authority, the sarvakara karana karanam, the source of everything. Then he's the cause of all causes. Everything emanates from him. Everything belongs to him. Everything is meant to be engaged in his service. And all the different relationships in this world are only but reflections of that relationship with Krishna, and they're only of a temporary nature also. And even our relationships in this world should be understood really, as mentioned here, it's only present there, it's only possible there because it's there in Krishna. One time Prabhupada was having one man challenge Srila Prabhupada, an Indian man, that Krishna is a debauchee. What's this word mean, debauchee? What's a debauchee? A woman hunter. An unscrupulous person, particularly in relationship to the opposite sex, on the hunt. Predator, like that. The debauchee. This Krishna's debauchee. He has, with other women, especially the wives of other men, and so on, illicit connections. What type of God is this? What type of example is this? Yad yada charity shreshtas tadevitaro janaha. Krishna himself says, whatever a great man does, common men follow. Standards he sets by exemplary acts all the world pursues. So what type of God is this Krishna? This man's challenging. And Prabhupada said, so God, is it not that God owns everything? Isn't that the qualification of God? One of them. He's the proprietor. The man said, yes, God is the owner of everything. So Prabhupada said, so if God is the owner of everything, what does that mean? You were saying, what type of God is Krishna? So if Krishna is God, or just take God alone, that means God owns everything. Are you married? I said, are you married? Man said, yes. So if Krishna is the owner of everything, he becomes surely the owner of your wife. Man was getting a little bit blushed. So then Prabhupada says, so if he's the owner of your wife, then your wife is meant for Krishna's pleasure. She's not yours. She belongs to Krishna, or God. Therefore you are the debauchee, not Krishna. She belongs to Krishna, not you. Everything belongs to God. This is the illusion of the material world. To help us to come out of the illusion, there are certain religious principles there to help us to, let's say, regulate and act in such a way, although we're still thinking I'm God, in such a way that we can get out of this disease condition of thinking we are the controller and the enjoyer. This is mine, this is me, and so on. This is a diseased condition of life. These are all different serious diseases. To think I'm the body, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a husband, I'm a wife. Of course you have to act in that capacity, but it should be done according to religious principles, not according to one's whim, sensual whim, but according to religious principles. And if we follow religious principles, that will help to gradually release us from this diseased condition of life. Unfortunately, most people think religion is to accommodate the disease and not to cure it, to make life comfortable. We were at Wenda's farm yesterday in Sussex, and she was telling us about every now and again the Jehovah's Witnesses come to her farm. They like it. They like it. They actually have. They're trying to preach to her to become a Jehovah's Witness, and she preaches to them, of course. They actually like it. They like the atmosphere there, where all the animals are living together with humans, just like, brothers and sisters. Because if you ever see their watchtower, you'll see the picture. It looks just like Wenda's farm, almost, more or less, if the sun shines, which is very rare in England. But when the sun's shining, with all the pigs and the ducks and the cows and the sheep and the goats and the geese and the birds all happily running around together, isn't it? Dogs and cats. And there you are with your old grandmother and your baby and everything. Everyone's happy in heaven. So they say that this is actually a picture. And they say this. They say this is pretty much a picture of what it's like in heaven. That's their take on it. They said, this is what it's going to be like after what do you call it? Armageddon? After Armageddon, whatever that is. This is what it will be like. And they say, everyone will be vegetarian. He says, well, why don't you be vegetarian now? Why wait for Armageddon? They're not vegetarian. Anyway, it's just like, I don't know how I got onto that subject, but anyway, it came up, this idea that everyone's kind of equal, everyone's sort of, right now they're how to say, duplicity there, still seeing themselves as the enjoyer. But everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure, everything, at every stage. The material world's meant for his pleasure, so Dharma is to teach us how to start to learn to use it in a way which is pleasing to Krishna. And to go a step further, of course, the spiritual masters, the pure devotees are there, and the Shastras are there to guide us to the real platform of pure bhakti. Until we reach pure, unflinching, unalloyed, completely surrendered devotional service, then certain religious principles have to be abided by. Certain rules and regulations are required. We can't jump over them. It won't work. Krishna will not be pleased. Dharman tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam, because these religious principles come from him. They're not man-made. I mean, if they're man-made, they're no use. But actual religious principles come from God. And if we change them, then we're actually, how to say, causing our own problems. We don't want to follow God. That's the reason we're here. And if we change the scriptures, which will help us to get back to where we're meant to be, then we're really causing our own problems. We're basically cutting our own throats. So it's really important that we try to, understand these
practical things in as far as what is relevant to different people may be slightly different, but the principle of following religious principles is important for people in general. The highest religious principle is no doubt complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this age, of course, that kind of combined with the chanting of the holy names, because people and the whole society is so broken down that there's hardly any trace of proper religious principles being followed in the world today. Very little. Some sentiments here and there, but they're usually not based on the right purpose either. Unless the society is guided by those who know the goal of life, even following religious principles is not going to do an awful lot. Maybe you go to heaven by following such religious principles for a while, but not much more than that. Generally, one has to be guided by the head who knows what the goal of it all is, and it has to be, say, spiritualized or transcendentalized by their presence, guiding the living entities in that direction by giving them a chance not just to follow rules and regulations, but also knowing the goal behind it, and making that quite clear also. Otherwise it can become materialistic also. And we use religion for material purposes, we use God for material purposes, and if we don't get materially what we want, we give it up. It's all material. This is all illusion. This is all part of Maya's, say, domain, in one sense, when we try to, use things for our own selfish purposes. So we have to try to understand the goal behind all these things. We have to do these things, but we also understand the goal behind it. Now, the other point I wanted to mention, we have very little time, something which struck me when I read this just now, for I was just glanced at the first verse there, particularly this response of the gopis to Krishna. Now we see in the material world that, these things are going on in the material world, but the reaction or the result is, of course, somewhat different. But how sometimes, I don't know how many of you are married. How many of you are married grihastas? Quite a few of you. So, I don't know, of course you're all devotees, so maybe not so much in devotional service, obviously, because our intention is to serve Krishna, our intention is to focus everything on Krishna. But if we put things in, let's say, I don't know if this is mentioned, the Kama Sutra. Have any of you read the Kama Sutra? You read it? I don't know, I've never read it, I've only heard about it. But, there's all these different psychologies and ways to, let's say, increase the flavor of the relationship. So in this particular section of the Bhagavatam, there's a lot of spicing going on. It's like, some people like different spices, and that's why there are different rasas. And this is all there. And the amazing thing is, I have this little bit of, I don't know, I have to experiment, I suppose, but I have this little bit of a feeling that this Nectar of Devotion is a very important book for those who really want to know what the real answer to psychology or compatibility or psychological whatever it is, all the different things that we go through in relationships, many times not working out with compatibility and this and that. And we spend a lot of money and time going to therapies and asking this and that from different book, reading this and that. And probably we've never read the Nectar of Devotion. Probably. At least we haven't studied it, especially the second half. We usually get to chapter 19 and turn around again, back to start. Maybe you've glanced through the rest of it. But it's quite extraordinary, because all the psychologies and the compatibilities or incompatibilities of this material world are but reflections of the spiritual world. And here is a very interesting, and I haven't got time, nor do I have prepared anything in terms of these of this subject matter, but it's just a little bit of an interesting factor that there are different relationships in this world as there are in the spiritual world, and we find that there are 5 direct relationships which are known probably to everybody, I would imagine, between the Jiva and Krishna. What are those 5 direct relationships? Excuse me? One at a time. Hand up if you know the one. At one, anyone. Hand up. Yes, Adam. Shanta. Shanta. Santa. Santa? Shanta. Shanta. Not Santa. That's what he said. There was this whole thing about Santa Claus, wasn't it? dressing up as Santa Claus, and somebody said, or putting Krishna, dressing the deities as in Santa outfits. They said, this is Shantaras. Some joke was there. And what is Santa? Shanta?
Respect,
Huh?
veneration, respect.
Yeah, neutral, sort of neutral. It's not specifically a particular relationship with Krishna. It's just accepting Krishna as the supreme, kind of a neutral relationship. It sometimes also includes inactive, or let's say, not so direct, active relationships, like you might be serving Krishna in a. There's different levels of Shanta. Even impersonalism is sometimes bracketed as Shanta. And the relationship of just reverential from a distance of worship and so on and so forth is sometimes known as Shantaras, without nothing intimate in the relationship. And on the higher levels, where service is also there within Shantaras, it would be more in terms of like a tree, in the mood of the form of a tree or a blade of grass. You're basically you're not kind of going so much forward with your service. It's more. You're in the mood of service. It's not just, in the mood of service. You're serving Krishna as, we can say, part of the Dham or something like that, So Shantaras at different levels is there. And what others are there? Another one? Hand up. Yes, there, Radha Londonishwar.
Dasya.
Pardon?
Dasya.
Dasya. What is Dasya?
Service.
Service. That's the one where basically right now, in the conditioned world, where we're not yet on the transcendental platform, our focus is on Dasyaras, isn't it? Dasyaras, and also somewhat in the mood of Shanta. We're not on the Raganuga platform, so there's a lot of reverence there. Even our worship of the deities, Prabhupada said it's more in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. No, the goal is not to worship in that mood, but that is our mood to reach that goal, to purify our consciousness, to control our senses, and so on and so forth. But it's in that mood of reverence and service, in the mood of reverence mainly, following rules and regulations. So this is, Dasya also includes this mood of Shant. So that's there. And that's mainly what we're cultivating, with knowledge that, there are other relationships which may evolve in time. We can be aware of them, know that there's something about it, and by following those who are in that mood, which we are, Srila Prabhupada, of course, and our acharyas, if we follow them sincerely by their grace, we will become purified. We'll become purified because the awakening of Raganuga Bhakti, as you can read, is there in the first 15 chapters, so you can get that far at least, is not something which is practiced at the stage of Vaidhi. Is not to be practiced at the stage of Vaidhi. It comes of its own accord, Srila Prabhupada writes, when the living entity is freed or liberated from the three modes of material nature. In other words, when one has passed the anartha nivritti stage. As long as the heart is not pure, then rules and regulations are not just something you follow to show an example, but they're necessary. They're necessary. Even if one, Prabhupada writes, even if one is a pure Vaishnava on the Raganuga platform, one still follows rules and regulations for the sake of dealing. Otherwise, people in this material world will get the wrong impression. They'll try to maybe imitate these things. So it's very important. These points are all mentioned in Nectar of Devotion. We should study so that we know a little bit, perhaps a little bit better, what is appropriate action and inaction. So that's the second of the 5 direct relations. What's the third? Now we're moving a step higher. You could say yes. Carlos, pardon? Sakya. What is Sakya? Friendship. So that's the coward boys. Different levels, different pastimes in Ayodhya or in Krishna in his Dwarka Leela, different relationships. Arjuna was friend and so on of Krishna, Sakyaras. They're just absorbed in that. They're totally absorbed in the mood of friend. And what's another one? Ladies? No ladies? Yes, Mother. Vatsalya. What's Vatsalya? Parental. The mood of parental or protective mood. That protective mood. It's not that one necessarily has to be literally apparent, but it's the mood of parental. They're all moods.
They're all moods. Even if you're not in that form, that mood may be there. So like Bhishma, he was in parental mood. Mixed mood actually, Bhishma, but primarily parental. He was of course senior, also grandfather. But in parental mood, and Mother Yasoda, Satyamata, they're all naturally obviously parental moods. Being a nurse is a parental mood also. There may be guardians like that, protectors and so on. And then another one, they're all mixed. Of course, the mood of rasa, or the shanta rasa, dasya rasa, and all these they're there in different degrees as you go up also. It's not that, it's either black and white, one or the other, they're also there. Mood of service, you're serving in, although you're totally captured in the mood of motherliness, it is in the mood of complete service to Krishna. Love of Krishna. Another one? Is there another one? Jaina typo? Madhurya Ras. Yeah, that's what we're hearing about here. This is the most rich of all of them. The most embellished with all different humours and completeness. Most complete of all the rasas. Any individual in any one rasa is complete in that rasa. They're not thinking, oh God, I'm incomplete. Why have I ended up as a coward boy? I could have been a gopi if I turned left instead of right, If I'd only taken initiation from Babaji Ananda Maharaj instead of Krishna Das Swami or something. No, excuse me, because we've got one here. Or whatever it is, you know what I mean? I didn't mean, it wasn't any reference there. That's what came into my mind. But any other Swami, it's not like that at all. When a living entity awakens that affection for Krishna, then he's completely full in himself. But in terms of the overall nature, the absolute, the mood of Madhurya Ras is everything's perfect, but it's the most perfect, most complete, most satisfying to Krishna, completely. But all varieties, just like in our lives, you don't just have one relationship, And your relationship, for instance, with, say you're a man and you're married to a woman. Your relationship with your wife may be the most important thing in your life, but your relationship with your children is also maybe even more important. And your relationship with your friends is also very important. Sometimes it's more important than the relationship, with the other. And it depends. In this world, it's one or the other, so more or less. Spiritual world, they're all going on at the same time. But in principle, the relationship with the wife is the most, most of all, is the most important of all. Whereas the other one, but you need the other ones too. You don't just have that relationship. Krishna is complete, everything, he's full of everything. So all these relationships are there in him. He wants to relate with all of these different rasas. He needs them all to be complete. Otherwise he's not complete. And it's not like there's only one, we all have the one. It will come naturally. Just like we have natural relationships with friends and lovers and people in general and so on and so forth, children and what have you. It's only natural because it's there in Krishna. And we get pleasure from all of them. There's only one, it's like if you have a meal. If you ever have a meal, and there's only one preparation every day. Now you may be very austere and satisfied with that, but generally people like more than one preparation every day, nothing but rice. Day in, day out, morning and night. Most people would find that a little bit boring. Maybe a little bit too austere. You like a variety there of rasas. In taste there are 6 rasas. You like to have a bit of this and a bit of that. If it's all sweet, you get fed up. If it's all spicy, you get fed up. If it's all astringent, you get fed up. If it's all salty, you get fed up. Like that. You want a bit of this and a bit of... and not only that, but if the sabji is just plain boiled sabji every day, you'll probably get bored with that too. You want some spicing in there, right? You want some taste, some flavor. At least some salt. If nothing else, at least some salt. Boiled potatoes with no salt is not too much fun. If you're really on a Purushottama Mass, Adhika Mass, Brata or something, you might manage it for a month, but otherwise you want some little variety there. Generally we're talking here. So in the spiritual world, that's there. There's so many. Then you have that there they call the indirect rasas. So there's the primary rasas, which are essential and are, you can say, consistent. They're sthayi-bhava, they're fixed, they're consistent. And then there's the secondary ones, which are also important if properly
Let's say, it's like spices. If you put the wrong spice in, if someone says, oh, you should put some spices in it, and you just go into the kitchen and just put any old spice in there, pour them in, bottle of red chili powder, just pour it into the, into the sweet rice or whatever you put it. But you told me to spice it, so I just poured them all in, Boiled. We had one devotee in New Govardhan, Australia. They love to cook. They love cooking. And they live here in London now. But they were in New Govardhan, Australia when I was there. But they would boil all the spices. The cumin seeds, everything was boiled. The chili peppers, nothing was fried. They would just boil the vegetables in water and just put the unfried spices straight into the water. It wasn't right. It just didn't have the same effect, It was, but that was how they cooked. Radha-Krishna Maharaj one time said, don't let them ever cook again. I was sat there. Anyway, there's a way of doing these things. Different spices are meant for different rasas. And if they're not, if it's the wrong spice, it's horrible. And that's what's going on in the material world. First of all, the rasas are all wrong in one sense. Half the time we're all mixed up. But putting that aside, even the spicing is all wrong. So you get a rotten taste if you don't know how to do it. And I think it's not compatible. Whole Vedic society is also in the material world designed to make things compatible, so that marriages last. That your children don't come out as monsters and things like that. And that people are reasonably settled in their ways and living place and work and so on. Compatibility. It's all based, it's like learning how to spice the sabji. So that's all described here in the Nectar of Devotion, how to get that compatibility, because it's there in the spiritual world. What is it when it's not compatible? What's it called? Rasabhas. Rasabhas. So what are the indirect? Oh, time's flying. What a shame. I wanted to mention, but anyway, another time maybe. You have to see. Just run through quickly what the 7... I've given it away. How many of the indirect rasas are there?
7.
Really? Oh, very good. You've studied Nectar of Devotion, I can see. And what are those? Ghastly. We generally know by which one comes out, which one is most prominent in us, I think, is it? No, maybe not. Okay, ghastliness. What else is there? I'm trying to find a page with them all on. I don't know where they are. Huh? What is that?
Horror.
Pardon?
Horror.
Horror? Is that different from ghastliness? Huh? Might be. I'm just trying to find a page with it all on. It could be. I mean, they're worded differently. That's all. Huh? Pardon? Sorry?
Humor. Is that one?
Humor. Yeah. Humor. Yeah. Prabhupada said Charlie Chaplin was an incarnation of this humor, of Hasyaras. When he watched him, Prabhupada said he was laughing. He said, because this is Charlie Chaplin is nothing but, let's say, an instrument through which Krishna's Hasyaras is manifesting. Anger. Well, that's here. You see, this anger is coming out. Now, oftentimes in relationships, the husband. And I don't say in devotional life it shouldn't be there, but necessarily, but it does sometimes. The husband, sometimes men have a little intelligence too, and they think they get a little pleasure sometimes seeing the wife angry, so they act in such a way as to make her angry. This is part of love. I mean, it may not be. It may go the opposite way. It depends on the mood. But the husband sometimes almost purposely irritates the wife. He wants to see her in her flaming anger. Krishna tried and tried with Rukmini. It was very difficult to get her to become angry. Extremely difficult. But he managed eventually. He succeeded, that, eventually. It was a very great difficulty. Even when he told her, you should go and get another husband, I'm not fit for you, and this and that. After all, you made a big mistake, you should go and marry Shishupal. He's more fit for you. Even that didn't make her angry. Yeah. But later on he got her going and she got angry.
another incident took place. But anyway, this sometimes happens between husband and Krishna's always doing this sort of stuff. Especially here with the gopis. He's kind of, not that he's just testing them, he's kind of like, he's getting great pleasure in this sense of seeing their loving recipient. In this case of the gopis, there's a mood of anger, but they're kind of, it's overwhelmed by love. Although it may be coming out in anger, almost like, but the actual mood is love. The actual mood is not anger. When the secondary one becomes primary, then you have a problem. Big problem. But the secondary one may sometimes increase the primary one. It is really an amazing, let's say, psychology. Amazing. It's an amazing section of nectar devotion when understood in these ways in relationship with Krishna. What else have we got? Astonishment, chivalry, heroism, mercy or compassion. Yeah. I guess dread was what was someone said, horror? Yeah, someone said that. So I guess that's dread. Is that it? I think, isn't it? I think so. Horror, dread, fear. All these different moods are there. So we see them all the time coming out and embellishing the actual relationship. No, the main thing is, though, we have to get the primary one in place. And that at this stage is our dasya ras. And even if there are some shortcomings sometimes, we should try to see that primary, the primary rasa is there. And that's the mood here, that although they're appearing to be, and Krishna's not, what Krishna's purposely trying to churn this little secondary rasa of anger. He's trying to churn it there. And this just makes the whole preparation more tasty, more enriched, more relishable. Okay, we haven't got any time to read anything more or hear any more. Hare Krishna. So I'm sure at breakfast time, what do you have here? Do you just have boiled semolina? Is that what you have for breakfast? Boiled vegetables. When I joined here, not here, in Bury Place, it was every morning, without fail, boiled semolina with no milk, just water and lots of sugar. And nothing in it, just boiled semolina in water with sugar, and 8 chickpeas, 8 or 10, I forgot that, 8 I think, counted, literally not one chickpea more than 8, whatever the figure was, and that was it for breakfast, every day of the week, and we loved it, because it was prasadam, and that's the real taste. It's not so much this thing, that thing, oh I want this and that. But it's when you actually appreciate that how fortunate we are to get prasadam. All that you experience, all the result of all the tastes. You know, it's completely satisfying. Otherwise we're never satisfied. No matter how many pizzas or pastas or ice creams and cakes we get, we're still not satisfied. We want more and more and more, isn't it? Another one, another variety, this, that, the other. When we actually appreciate and be grateful for this wonderful opportunity, for, when we got the chance to honor prasadam, we're so lucky. So yesterday's Sankirtan, book distribution, with 10 Lakshmi points, is that right? 2 book points, 1 Maha big book, thank you, 2 book points. In second place, back to Alexei. Yay! Yeah, I think he's on the plane. Is he on the plane now, flying to Budapest, maybe? Jai! When he comes back, that will increase 100-fold, I'm sure. And first place yesterday. First place. With 20 Lakshmi points, 8 small books, 4 medium, 2 Maha big. Very generous with the books. And 8 book points. Back to Adam W. Yay! Which one is Adam W? That means we have 2 Adams. Are you Adam W? Jai, well done, Adam.
Jai. So total of 30 Lakshmi points, 8 small, 4 medium, 3 Maha big, and 10 book points. Haribo! Jai. Every book that goes out is another victory. And in the shop yesterday also, 10 books were distributed in the shop yesterday for 199 Lakshmi points. Jai. And in Govinda's restaurant yesterday, 218 customers and 1,655 Lakshmi points. Haribo! Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. Oh, we have your prayer. You want to read this, Jai?
Just would like to thank Marge for giving such a enlivening class and also for coming and giving us his precious time. So Marge will be leaving today, so we wish you well, Marge, and safe forward travels back to America. New Jersey. I'm not from New Jersey, Marge. If I was from New Jersey, I'd talk like that, Marge. If I was no, I'm not from New Jersey. I'm from Washington, D.C. Yeah, just down the road. Please offer my respects to the devotees at the Bhakti Center. Yeah. So thank you very much. His Holiness Janananda Maharaj ki jai. So we'll please, if you have any volunteers to serve prasadam this morning on ladies' side and the men's side, okay, and volunteers to help clean up the temple room after breakfast, okay, wonderful. So we'll just offer our prayer to their lordships. Dear Shri Shri Radha Nishwar, Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra, Shri Shri Gauranitai, and Giri Govardhan, we offer our most respectful obeisances unto you. With a mood of deep gratitude and appreciation, we request your causeless mercy upon us. For your pleasure, we are endeavoring to distribute the books of your pure devotee Srila Prabhupada to the fallen conditioned souls of London. Please enable us to cooperate together in a mood of selfless service in order to maintain and increase our efforts. Please send more devotees to assist us in bringing many new souls to your lotus feet. We, your surrendered servants, humbly beg. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So if everyone could please help in the prasadam chain, then we can serve prasadam out and get on with the day. Hare Krishna. Or in Ukraine, or in Spain.
Even if you're insane.
Vai.